Welcome IB Economics students to this video lecture today about a very important microeconomics concepts about price elasticity of demand, or PED as it is commonly referred to. So at this point in economics, we already know that price changes for a good will increase or decrease or directly influence the demand for a certain product. As the price of a good rises, the demand for the good decreases. However, as the price of the good decreases, the demand for a good increases. So the PED, or price elasticity of demand, measures the amount of change and how much change the demand has when a marginal increase or decrease in price occurs. So PED measures the responsiveness of demand for changes in the price of a given product. So PED measures how responsive consumers are to the changes in the price of a given product. Okay, so the PED is calculated by a very simple formula, but you need to be able to memorize this, because especially for HL students, when it comes to a paper 3, memorizing equations and being able to calculate PED is very important. So PED is calculated by PED equals the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. So percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. So this right here is the equation for the calculation of PED. And it's important that you do percentage change and not just quantity divided by price. It is important to do percentage change and quantity demanded by percentage change in the price of the good. Now, how do you remember this? Is a funny way I would like to teach my students to remember this is you Q before you P. Okay, you Q before you P. So you can memorize this little, it's a cute phrase, it's a cute saying you could say. So you percentage change in Q before you percentage change in P. Okay? So this is a funny way you can memorize it. This is, it's a way to memorize something that's quite dull and quite boring. Okay? So how do we calculate percentage change? You'll be surprised at how many people do not know how to calculate basic percentage changes. Now, that's no problem. I'm going to tell you right here. So percentage change is equal to the difference divided by the old value. Difference divided by old value multiplied by 100%. So the difference is equal to the new minus the old value. New value minus old value. So with these basically two equations, you'll be able to calculate a PED, right? So you're able to get percentage change, and once you get percentage change, you're going to be able to plot it in and put it into a you put it into a PED form. Now, let's give an example of calculations for PED. How about that? That seems like a good idea. So let's say price 1. We have price 2. So there's a change in price. Let's say the original price is $4, and the new price is, let's say, $5. So there's an increase in $1, and this is the price. And this is the quantity demanded, or I just type it out, quantity demanded. So let's say the original quantity demanded for good X. The quantity demanded originally for good X at the price of 4, it's, let's say, 10,000, 1,000 units. Well, at the price of $5, people only desire to consume, let's say, 800 units. So having these statistics and figures, how do we calculate the PED for good X? Okay, so the PED, so the following is the PED for good X. X is calculation. Now, the first thing you want to do is calculate the percentage change in both price and quantity demanded. So let's do percentage change in QD first. The percentage change in QD equals um negative 200 divided by 1,000. Why negative 200? Because when we subtract 1,000 by 800, we get we when we subtract the new value by the old value, we get the difference, and when we divide the difference by the old value, then we get the percentage change. So we and then we multiply this by 100. This gives us the percentage change of negative 20%. So a percentage change in quantity demanded is a negative figure of negative 20%. That makes sense because originally it was 1,000 units, and now after the price change, it has decreased to 800 units. Therefore, we can see that the percentage change is a negative 20%. Now, vice versa, we also need to calculate the percentage change in price. The percentage change in price is calculated by a $1 divided by $4. So $1 $1 right here comes from 5 minus 4, new value minus old value, as it says right here, which is the difference, divided by the original value, and then we have to multiply it once again. We multiply it once again by 100, giving us a percentage change of positive 25%. So and then now that we have percentage change in both of them, let's say let's calculate this and put them together. So the PED, when we reference to this highlighted equation right here, the PED is equal to negative 20% divided by positive 25%. Now, if we pull out our calculator, let me do that real fast. That would give us a figure of negative 0.8. So, okay, so there we have it. The PED for good X is 0.8. Now you might be quite rather confused. What does it mean that the PED is 0.8? Now, there is quite a few things you guys want to take note of. It will be rather helpful if you guys know this. So why don't you take a pen out and let's take some notes. So, okay, here is the interpretation of PED values. The interpretation of PED values. So the first thing, when PED is greater than 1, then demand is price elastic. That's the first thing. The second thing, when PED is lesser than 1, then demand is price inelastic. So the more elastic it is, it basically means that the more responsive a good is to price changes. And the less elastic it is, or the more inelastic a product is, then that basically means that the product is not as responsive to price changes. Now, the next thing is an extreme. When PED equals 0, demand is perfectly elastic. I'm going to use and explain this in graphic form. When PED equals infinity, demand is perfectly elastic. When PED, we need to capitalize this. When PED equals 1, demand is price elastic. So from this pattern, we're able to see the higher the PED value, the more responsive the good is to price changes. So the higher the value of PED is, which by theoretically, the value of PED could go all the way up to infinity. However, that is rather unlikely. So when PED is higher, for example, let's say 2 or even 3, then that means the good is very responsive to price changes. Now, another important thing to take note of is that PED values are always negative. Therefore, when interpreting the PED values, you must use their absolute value instead of face value. So from the example of good x, as we have calculated above, the PED value is negative 0.8. However, because PED values will always be negative, so therefore we need to take the negative sign away by giving it an absolute value, which will, of course, be 0.8. As a result, we're able to say, when looking at the interpretation of PED values, that good x is actually relatively price inelastic, which means that changes in price do not affect the changes in quantity demanded at a marginal amount. So if you are a firm, you are incentivized to actually change your prices to a higher rate. But that's a lesson for next time. Now, I really hope you understand this video. I really hope you're able to understand PED, price elasticities of demand, and really able to understand the concepts of the relationship of the responsiveness of demand and the responsiveness of changing in the product's price really well. So I hope this video is helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one, where we graph PED and go into the more interpretation